All right, I'm going to keep this kind of short, but this new video came from When We Understand the Text YouTube channel. Now, I have a lot of respect for this channel, their podcast, their ministry in general. It's pretty good, and I've always respected them, always loved their videos. In fact, I was one of the original subscribers, from early on. Actually, let me just see, what's their most earliest video on here? Yeah, I was pretty much there right from the beginning. Now, not from this channel, because this channel was just created a couple of years ago, but I was always a subscriber on my other channels. But anyway, and in fact, I have 9 YouTube channels, and every time when I make a new YouTube channel, I start subscribing to different channels that I like and respect, and this is always one of them. But I feel like they dropped the ball in today's video. So, and this just kind of reaffirms my feeling that Christians do not know how to talk about this subject, especially more well-grounded Christians, in more reformed churches or reformed thought. It's kind of, not something that's talked about much, and I guess just churches in general. And as far as I know, no churches in my area are talking about it, certainly not mine. And Christians in general aren't talking about it, which means our churches probably aren't talking about it. But, okay, so they have some good points in this video. I will give them that. But there's some ad hominem. There's adding to the stigma, at the very end. You got the X-Files music playing. But, yeah, just a lot of attack, though, on... where do I even start with this? A lot of attack on the people who are coming out with this. He takes a shot at L.A. Marzio, or however you pronounce his name. I have a lot of disagreements with the guy. I really do, the L.A. guy, but I still appreciate that he's covering this topic. And I just think it's unnecessary. Most of this video is just taking shots at all these charismatic preachers. And he has to, make sure he gets that in there. Oh, they're charismatic. I don't know. I used to do that too myself when I was kind of more immature, I suppose. To just take shots at everybody that I disagree with. I'm not really into charismatic stuff myself. I grew up in that kind of a setting, but that's a whole other story. He does kind of talk about, right here, the one pastor, I made a video about this recently, who kind of flipped on his word about the whole meeting with the pastors. And he had to make a point too that, it's just charismatic preachers that are in there. Do you know that for sure? But anyway, I digress. Yeah, he does make some good points in there, but most of the video is about that before he starts getting into he calls out this person right here. I don't even know this congressman. Well, I guess I do, but she's one of the ones who are more or unknown in the movement, not Luna or Burchett or Burleson. But there's so much he left out, and again, it's how does that saying go? Show me what you don't know by not talking about what you don't know, or something like that. And he, again, people who cover this, Wretched Radio or Living Waters, and now this guy, very, very, very seldomly do they cover it. And then when they do, they really have no understanding of the topic. And he makes fun of the blurry videos, black and white. And again, show me what you don't know. And that's frustrating, just talking to Christians in general. He's just kind of a microcosm, or however that word is, microcosm, whatever, of just Christians in general who talk about this subject. Yeah, he does go after what needs to go after a little bit with the whole, pastor meeting. So many conflicting stories on that. But just like everybody else, though, just kind of dismissive about it. Just preach Christ. That's all you got to do. And yeah, I get that. I have a friend who says the same thing, but you're missing out. Now, I'll make the point, too, that, if we did grapple with this subject in the last couple of years as a church as a whole, it feels like the church, especially these Reformed people, they're all high and mighty, you just got to preach this one thing. You can't talk about world events or anything like that. That is a huge mistake. The church has always tackled world events or things going on or current deceptions or whatever. The Bible talks about that to expose the darkness. Not just some very generic, okay, if there's a darkness out there, if there's a deception, you are well grounded in the word. We're not going to talk specifics, okay? We can't talk about specifics. That's what a lot of these types do, especially, I guess, Reformed people. what was I just going to say? But if we tackle this subject for just the last year even, then yesterday's UFO dump wouldn't have been so bad, or what's going on right now with charismatics. We would have a much better understanding, but nobody wants to tackle the subject. Now, I'm assuming that, like Living Waters, I brought them up. I love those ministries, by the way. Living Waters especially, it's been a cornerstone in my life. And I have lots of stories to tell about that. They're awesome. But I think they tackled it once in the last couple of years, and it was so cringe. Because one of the guys, he's like, "Oh, David Grusk." What? Show me you don't know what you're talking about by not telling me or don't know what you're talking about, or however that saying goes. It's not pronounced Grusk. I mean, if you spent like 2 minutes on it, you would know. But in the Wretched Radio, that was cringe. Like last year or so, they did a video on this topic. I shared about that. I did a video. And it's just all cringe. It just, they don't understand the basic facts. They don't know what's going on. And most Christians don't. Most Christians are not paying attention. It's so frustrating. It's beyond frustrating to me how this is the treatment that we give to the subject. Just kind of making fun of it, add some stigma, show you that you don't know what you're talking about. Let's go after. It almost sounds like he's going after people who are just paying attention to the subject at all. But yeah, I expect now Living Waters is probably going to put out the video. Ray Comfort's going to do his Ray Comfort thing, ask people on the street. The video will sound like it's going to be about the subject, and it's just asking people on the street and then him sharing the gospel. Yeah, that's fine. But I wish more of these bigger ministries who have not already tackled this subject would give it a better treatment, because you can see why so many Christians that you talk to are extremely ignorant, have extremely shallow conversations about this, because they get their marching orders from, first of all, nobody talking about it, and then second, when they do talk about it, it's videos like this, or like what Wretched Radio put out, or whatever, Living Waters. It's extremely shallow. And I hope that these bigger ministries will start talking about the subject more. I'm sure now they will. Should have talked about it 2 years ago, but I kind of, because I get ignored completely on Facebook when I post about this stuff, just trying to inform the church. Sometimes I get so frustrated, I say things like, you know what, when this all comes out, the church is going to have to play catch up. The church is going to have, they do their best work or only work after the fact. And now it's after the fact, and now it's right once again. And it's only going to get worse, because what happened yesterday was only the beginning. It's going to get much worse. There's not careful talk about this. It's, if this stuff is coming out, then, it must be angels or demons. And yeah, I have a lot to say on that. I'm very careful. Like, I'm not calling any of this necessary 100% demonic or angelic or anything like that, but we need to have careful conversations about this and how easy it is for the church to be deceived, even if it's all technology. And I will make the case that Christians should be paying attention to this no matter what it is. So many reasons for that. But I can just go on and on. But guys, we just need to do better in the church. I really, really wish we could do better and talk about this appropriately and not make fun of Christians. The whole, again, X-Files thing at the end there.
They might be, and let me explain what I mean. Every time some false teacher comes around and gets a bunch of people to believe what he's peddling, he always has some Bible-changing revelation, doesn't he? It's always something that changes the way people read the Bible. The emergent church movement, identity politics, prosperity theology, progressive Christianity. Oprah Winfrey saying on national television that there are millions of ways to God.
There are millions of ways to be a human being, and many ways, but many paths to what you call God.
They always claim this will change the way that you read the Bible, even twisting the word to make it mean what they want it to mean. But you will not be duped by it. If you fear God, read this and
it's only taking one slice of this issue. The maybe charismatics who are, or others are talking about, this will change the way that you view Scripture. That's not even the point that I'm taking, and I'm still able to claim that this is an extremely important topic to tackle. He just doesn't get it. And I give him points for talking about it. It's not all wrong, but really right here is the...
Trust what it says, and be part of a solid Bible-teaching church. Ephesians 4:14 says the church is a place where...
The X-Files.
I'm in covenant with God Almighty. I am God Almighty.
Yeah, I just think
Believe
that's
in the Lord.
disingenuous. And yes, I understand all the stuff. Yeah, we got to preach the gospel, preach the word. But you got to mention specifics sometimes, okay? And there's so much more I can say, but I really got to get going. So tell me what you think. And I know I'm just going to be frustrated again and again as the weeks continue and more disclosure happens.